and welcome to the Super Show brought to you by the FTN Network. Of course, I'm your host, Walter Waddell, aka Dub Deuces 85. And wouldn't you know it, it is week 0. We are in it. It is no more conference previews, no more transfer portal talk. We are legitimately in the zone right now. We're going to be talking about DFS later on this week, breaking down that week 0 slate. You can expect that on Thursday night, sharp 9 p.m. PST. Myself and co-host Jay Kuchek will be breaking down all of the action, talking about any betting opportunities, prize pick stuff as well. And then Saturday morning, 8 a.m., 1 hour before lock, I'll go live. That'll be to talk about any last-minute news, question and answer time. That's the show that a lot of you like and have given us that feedback, so we're back at doing it again. So what are we doing here on Monday? Not typical in non-college basketball times for us to do a Monday show, but we're out here, we're doing it. We're going to be talking about some predictions. I'm going to be giving you guys some futures betting stuff that I like, and overall just kind of talking about what to expect for this season. So I'm very, very excited there. And then also, there are a few things going on here. Let me pull it up for the FTN network itself. You know, NFL is right around the corner. We're still doing our thing, messing around with NFL preseason. So, you know, we still got that there. And overall, there is a promo code going on. Do want to mention that for anyone that joins FTN, there is a 10% off promo code. That is draft day. For that code, gets you access to betting models. We have some of the best in the industry by far. Prop tools, obviously our article bets, DFS stuff as well, optimizers, all of that good stuff, and then a same game parlay tool that has been very, very profitable for many of our NFL users. So lots of stuff going on there. Might as well get yourself a 10% off discount if you are not a member of FTN yet and you're sort of considering it. You're not quite sure. Now is the time to do so. Let our amazing NFL team show you why that promotion is worth it. And then come check out the niche sports extraordinaire. I like to dub myself that, with college sports, especially college basketball, college football. That is what we do. We'll be pulling double duty here before you know it. But week 0 it is. All right. We're broadcasting on Twitter as well, X, if you will. So if you have any questions and you're watching on YouTube, be sure to drop those questions, comments, concerns as we go. I will answer those a little bit different this year with the added on X broadcast. And then also at some points on bit weeks where there are some really newsworthy or noteworthy games, we do have a playback account now where we'll be able to watch games with you guys. Just basically hanging out, talking, you know, sweating the actual games, tilting, all of that good stuff. I'm really excited about that. I had looked into the past of getting my own playback account. Now FTN Network has one. So we'll be able to watch sports together throughout the season, and especially during college basketball and into March. Lots of good stuff there. All right. There is a lot going on. Underdog this year had some best ball college football stuff. Didn't get a chance to really do a whole lot with that in terms of rankings. I did take part in a draft today. So before I got into the betting stuff, I wanted to kind of highlight that and kind of talk about where my head was at. With this likely being a thing next year, you can expect FTN and myself to have rankings for players and content surrounding the best ball in circle there for college football. So lots of exciting things there in terms of what Underdog has to offer. Let me pull up the draft that I did today. See if I can find that. Self-produced show, by the way. I did a few graphics that I'm going to show you guys as well. See here. I think this is it. Yeah, let's do this. Okay. So this is the draft that took part. Pick position 1, so you know, got the first pick there. Did take Ollie Gordon, but just kind of take a look here at what I took and who I'm kind of, you know, high on for the most part. But obviously, in these drafts, you kind of just go with the flow there of how it's going to be. Very high on Cam Ward, one of the first quarterbacks off the board for me. Did take Will Howard for Ohio State. Somewhat high on him, but it's Ohio State. You know, there's going to be plenty of offense there. Rocco Becht, who is kind of a sleeper for me, has some rushing upside. He's going to show that this year. And then buying into the hype on Dylan Raiola of Nebraska. Certainly a lot of chatter about how good he's going to be. And then Malik Murphy was announced as the starter for Duke just today, actually, right after I did this draft. So feel pretty good there about that group of quarterbacks. At running back, we had the number one pick, kind of simple to take a high volume back in Ollie Gordon. Also, Abu Sama, going to be a real true bell cow. Talked about it over the last couple of months during our preview shows. There are going to be a lot of committee backfields. It's kind of been the way of the land the last couple of years. There are still a few bell cow-esque backs left, and I do believe that Abu Sama will qualify as that. Jarquez Hunter of Auburn, please don't forget about him. I know Auburn was kind of atrocious there, but he's definitely going to be a guy. LJ Martin of BYU definitely has some injury designations, which I think scared some people back and kind of pushed his ADP. I think Martin, had he been healthy coming into the year, would be much higher, obviously. But from all accounts and what the staff of BYU has said, he's going to be ready to go. So took the shot there with Martin and then finished it up with Devin Mockabee from Purdue, pass catcher as well, and Cedric Irvin, who I do like quite a bit. All right. Moving on to the wide receivers, Kevin Concepcion from NC State. Now I was going to go with Restrepo here, have the stack with Cam Ward, sniped a pick or two right before, but I wouldn't say that KC is a consolation pick by any means. I'm very high on KC. In fact, I do have a highlighted bet for NC State that we're going to talk about tonight, and he is a big reason why. So I'm plenty happy with KC there. As far as the rest of the receivers, Malachi Fields for Virginia, you know, he's going to be taking a lot of that volume from Malik Washington, so he should be an absolute stud. Jeremiah Smith, younger player for OSU. Egbuka is going to get all that hype, but Smith definitely going to be involved. Of course, I had to take Denzel Boston. You know, he's been my sleeper guy all offseason from Washington. Got my Cam Ward pair there with Jacoby George. Then finished it off with a couple of Alabama receivers, Kobe Prentice and Ryan Williams, who today was named the preseason freshman of the year in the SEC. Watch out. Ryan Williams should be one of the best receivers right away for Alabama. And then at tight end, Elijah Royho. A little bit of stacking going on there with Cam Ward. I went late with the tight ends. There's just a not a real Brock Bowers as tight end this year, so I think that a lot of the early picks should probably go elsewhere. So I got that value for tight end. I think Arroyo, he's a bit of a breakout candidate. And then Sade Troyer, who is a big stud at Arkansas State, sat out last year. We actually talked about this during the SEC preview show last week. Certainly a guy who can rack up a lot of receiving yards there and touchdowns. So that was my foray into the best ball circle. Feel pretty good about that and how everything landed. Next year, I'm going to take part in a lot of those. Going to do those on air as well, and possibly have some other stuff there surrounding content, but we'll have rankings. So please, if you're into best ball, just know that next year we're going to be deeply involved and invested in that, as well as season-long stuff, dynasty stuff as well. All right, so let's get into it. Let's talk about some of this betting stuff that we like. I'm also going to be posting. We hold ourselves accountable, so we have betting trackers on the FTN site. We use those each and every day, post and grade. We also have a Discord for both DFS, betting, and season-long. In the betting Discord, we post our picks and reasons why, but you're going to find each and every play that we run in the actual tracker. That is the best way to access it. It is by sport and by content provider, analyst. So you can click on my name, see what sport I'm betting in, whether it's WNBA, college football, and track all of my stuff there. Big into props. That's my primary thing, and I will be heavily invested in props when it comes to college basketball time. Obviously, our own Mike Kutry is the king of those props, but definitely had a good season there last year. And then also with college football, we'll have quite a bit as well. All right, so let's pull up the first one that I want to talk about here. And there's a lot of value for this with the expanded playoff. Let me get this up. graphics too much. Again, this was self-produced. We're going to do a lot more with short form content and graphics and things like that, but we're going to use our super producer Quan to do that for us because his graphics actually look like they were made in 2024 and not like 1995 like mine. So don't laugh at me too much. All right, a couple of other bets that I want to talk about here. We're getting some extreme value on Liberty to win the Conference USA. Bit of a head scratcher for me. That's only minus 200. I would have thought that would be like, I don't know, minus 500, maybe more. Like looking at the Conference USA, Liberty is clearly the class. Ran through their season, 13-0. They had a really tough outing in a bowl game against a real team. But they bring back the majority of their crew, right? Caden Salter, who flirted with potentially transferring out, 2,900 passing yards last year, 32 touchdowns, also rushed for 1,100 yards and 12 touchdowns. Total psycho. Who in the CUSA is going to stop him? Stud running back Quentin Cooley returns. All he did was rush for 1,400 yards, had a YPC of 6.3, scored 16 touchdowns. Liberty minus 200. I don't understand that one. I am certainly putting that into various conference winner parlays that I've got. I'll talk about one of the ones that I played earlier at DK today, but Liberty to win the CUSA seems like a pretty big no-brainer to me. Obviously, injuries happen, upsets happen, but I don't see how Liberty doesn't run the table and get one of those last remaining playoff spots here in the expanded field. All right, Boise State to win the Mountain West, minus 110. That one I feel pretty confident about as well. Pretty, I guess, somewhat, I shouldn't say super surprising, but somewhat surprising news earlier. We found out sophomore Maddox Madsen won the QB1 job over the USC transfer and former five-star Malachi Nelson. Nelson, I thought, was a shoo-in to win the job. Had a myriad of programs after him, right? Georgia, Alabama, chose to go to USC, did the backup thing, had injuries, could have likely competed for a gig there this season, decides to go to Boise State. Still very young, still technically a freshman. We'll see what happens there, but he does not win the job outright. Maddox Madsen does. Boise State coach Spencer Danielson, his reasoning for this was that Madsen has a more efficient understanding of the offense. He's running it better, and he gives the team the best chance to win game one. Now, he didn't say gives the team the best chance to win or win this season. He said to win game one. To me, that doesn't mean we won't see Nelson at some point. Maybe in game two, maybe later this season. What happens if Madsen sputters? True to me, I think Nelson should be the quarterback. And I am confident that Boise State, not in their win totals, which is I'm not touching, but I am confident that they will be in the mix to win the MWC, at least get into the title game and win it, which is what we need them to do to cash this bet. Either way, this Boise State team is ridiculous. Whether it's, Madsen or Nelson, it doesn't really matter. They have Ashton Genty at running back, who also flirted with the transfer portal, decided to come back. Genty is a absolute just machine. Over 1,300 rushing yards last year, 569 receiving yards, 19 total touchdowns. Expect all of that to go up. I think he scores 20-plus touchdowns really easily. Defenses will try to key in on him. That's what they did last year. Kind of slowed down a little bit. You remember the first half of the season, he was just putting up 30 after 30 after 30 fantasy point score. Look for him to be an absolute dominant player and one of the best in the college football circle. Danielson, their coach, has put a big emphasis on explosive plays, and this is a team that I think is going to be very electric. Offensively, defensively, we'll see. But when I look at the MWC, there are a handful of teams capable of pushing them to a degree, but I think from top to bottom, Boise State is the team to back, and they have the most talented running back in the entire conference in Ashton Genty. So give me Boise State to win the MWC championship at minus 110. All right, Utah going into the Big 12 to win the Big 12, the conference, and the title game. They're plus 320. Cam Rising back after dealing with a myriad of injuries seemingly for the last 2 years. Brant Kuthi, the apple of our eye, 3 seasons ago at tight end, he will be back as well. This is a Utah team that many pundits expect to win the Big 12 and be in the playoff. I think, there may be some rust initially for those two stars coming back, but I think they'll be a well-oiled machine pretty quickly. Getting that value at plus 324, Utah to win the Big 12. I'm in on that for sure. And then a couple of Sun Belt bets that I like. Sun Belt West Division winner, Texas State, which is plus 220. And then the Sun Belt East Division winner, James Madison at plus 330. Now, Texas State, they are going to be the team that I would back to actually win the entire Sun Belt, but we're getting that value for them to win their side of the division. Jordan McLeod, formerly of JMU, comes in to be their quarterback. We know he is a dual threat extraordinaire that can do a serious amount of damage. Comes into it with a Texas State offense that put up a ton of points last year with a far lesser tier quarterback. Ishmael Mahdi does return at running back, a back capable of rushing for 1,200 plus yards. You also get the UTEP transfer duo of Deion Hankins and Torrance Burgess, both solid in their own right. Lincoln Paré, who's a bit of a pass-catching back, like they have an embarrassment of riches in the running back room. And then their guy, Joey Hobart, who comes back, and Cole Wilson, a very dynamic duo there at the wide receiver spot. And then Jaden Williams, who transfers in from Boston College. This Texas State team is going to put up a ton of points. They will be a fun one, totals-wise, to bet. I don't know how often we'll actually get them on the slate. Hopefully we do. We didn't get them as much last year, but this is a team that is going to be extraordinarily fun. Like them to win not only the West Division, but also the Sun Belt in general, but plus 220 there to win the West Division. JMU at plus 330 to win the East. I know James Madison's going through some changes, right? Their coach is now in Indiana. Half of their players are in Indiana. And then, of course, we just mentioned Jordan McLeod now being the quarterback at Texas State. But that does not mean this team will not be good. They do get a transfer from Washington and Dylan Morris, who just a couple of years ago was the starter for my Huskies. They do have a solid group of running backs that they will lean on. North Carolina transfer George Pettaway, who was going to be, before Omarion Hampton decided to become a transformer of sorts, Pettaway looked like he was going to be one of their guys, and it didn't work out for him. Now he has a chance to go and play for the Dukes and be a RB1 semi-bell cow. Also, they have Ao Adeye, who transfers in from North Texas, kind of a bowling ball-esque type of back. So they'll lean on that running game for sure. And then they do have some wide receiver options coming in. Cam Ross, who was a PPR extraordinaire from UConn last year, along with Breon Penny, who transfers in from San Diego State. So I do like this JMU team. I like the solid value there at plus 330. This is not one of my, top plays by any means, but looking at the value we're getting to bet the Sun Belt, those are the two teams that I like the most to come out and play in the Sun Belt title game. All right. So let's pull up DK real quick. We're starting to get props, by the way, for this weekend, but we're going to save those for Thursday. We'll also be posting them in Discord. Anytime touchdown props have come in, we will get passing props and all that as well. Getting excited for that, but we're sticking with futures here. One other team, there's to make the college football playoff, there's some really good value on several teams. Like Missouri plus 175. That's a team I really like. It's minus 225 to not make the playoff. They do have a difficult schedule, but it's a team that I earmarked for 10 wins. So how can I not? Utah plus 200. Like Georgia's minus 600. So obviously no value there, but there are a lot of teams that I'm clearly interested in. Nebraska, dart throw at plus 950 of Dylan Raiola is as good as people are saying. That's intriguing. Let's see. Texas A&M at plus 220. I do like what Texas A&M has on the table at multiple positions on both offense and defense. Just because I'm a hater of Oregon, plus 230 to not make the playoff. I don't think I'd actually bet that, but they're minus 300 to make the playoff. I really don't think the Ducks, again, I'm a big time Oregon Ducks hater. I admit it, but I really don't think they're going to be as big of a lock as everybody is saying. Dylan Gabriel is going to be nasty for sure, but defensively, we'll see if they can keep up in a different conference like this. Penn State's minus 140. They're kind of an intriguing team. And then Arizona for a dart throw at plus 750. So there's some interesting to make the CFB playoff bets that you can make that are really worth a sprinkle here or there. And then to make the title game, there are certain bets here. Let's go down to the Sun Belt. No, we might not have Sun Belt. Okay, I guess don't have the Sun Belt there. I thought I had that earlier, but it must have just been the division winners. Okay, so to make the 2024 ACC title game, just to make the title game, Miami's plus 200. So that's another one. I'm super bought in on the Hurricanes. Florida State's minus 130 there is the favorite. Clemson plus 120, but like Miami plus 200, NC State plus 300, and then there is some chatter about SMU being a sneaky dark horse team, but I like Virginia Tech plus 450 to potentially make the title game there. So just another one to look at. But for the most part, those first 5 or 6 that we talked about, those are the primary futures that I will be on the tracker with, playing my own money on. I know a lot of people sometimes talk about plays and then don't. But just to recap there, if you're just tuning in, Miami Hurricanes to make the CFB playoff and win the ACC plus 220, plus 400. The Wolfpack to make the CFB playoff at plus 500. Arizona over 7.5 wins, minus 115. And then Liberty to win the CUSA at minus 200, which honestly feels like such a big miss. I don't know why that isn't minus 500 or more. Boise State to win the Mountain West at minus 110, and then Utah to win the Big 12 at plus 320. Those are the futures. Those are the predictions. We talked about some best ball stuff. We talked about some bets. I don't want to keep you guys too long because you can bet that Thursday's show is going to be extremely in-depth, even though it's just a few games. We're going to get into it game by game. With my man Jay Kuchek. We'll be talking about FanDuel, DraftKings, Prize Picks, Underdog, everything, answering questions that night as well as Saturday morning, 1 hour before lock. Please make sure you're either tuned in on X on FTN Fantasy account or on YouTube at FTN Fantasy. Each and every week, we are going to be doing our thing, and we got to set an encore. Last year, week 0, my man Nick Nash from San Jose State scored the anytime touchdown for us at plus 450. Got to find a encore for week 0. Be in the lab all week finding that out for us. Thanks everybody who tuned in live, continues to support the show. It's going to be a few changes graphics-wise, intro-wise, banners behind me. We have all kinds of exciting things planned. You can also rest assured there's going to be college football projections from us this year. We got into college basketball projections last year. Good feedback. It worked well. It's going to be a work in progress for college football. The first couple of weeks, there's going to be kind of noisy, but by midseason, I feel like those will be dialed in as well. Very excited about that and the content that we are going to be delivering. Best Discord in the industry, that's for sure. Thanks, guys. Take care, and I will see you back here Thursday night on the FTN Network, breaking down the Week 0 DFS slate. Let's get it. Take care.